Hey, what is up, everybody? Let's see if I got this right. Let me make sure. Settings. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Hey, anybody in here? Let's see. Okay, looks like I got a person. Let me know when you guys are in here. Cut off the audio on here. Okay. Hey, hello. All right, cool. So I'll make this, take this off. All right, what is up, everybody? My name is Mike Thompson. I am happy to be here with you guys today. I just maximize something on my screen. I didn't want to do that. All right, here's this one over here. Cool. So what's up, everybody? I don't know if you've been here before. If you haven't, I am Mike. I'm an illustrator. I do stuff for toys and movies and games and blah 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 blah. And I also work in ZBrush. So I like to, as you can see by the title of my stream here, it's called Illustration by Way of Sculptor. And if you can see my desktop here, this is something that I sculpted that I would use to use it as like a starting point or reference or something for one of my illustrations for one of my clients. So yeah, if you're in, say hello. Hi, let me know you're in here. And I'll show you where I was at last time. So let me open up ZBrush. It's going to tell me I need to update. I haven't done the update yet. I need to update. So, all right, cool. Okay, and don't show again. All right, so, hey, what's up, everyone? Oh, nice. Hey. So yeah, if you've been here in the last couple streams, or by couple I mean 1,000 streams, I've been working on a Hulk. Let me open that up real quick. Cut key. Let's see. It's this one. Open. Yeah. So I've been working on a Hulk. I sculpted this guy over several weeks. Who am I kidding? Months. It's one of those side projects where I've been working on it when I had time, and then working on client stuff in the meantime. So I'm sure you all have seen this before. Let me move the restream thing out of the way. Will you move? Come on, buddy. Will you move? Seriously? Get out. There you go. Get out of the way. Move this over here so I can still see it. I'll close this up a little bit. Pimped up with nice music. So yeah, I spent the morning getting new music, you guys. So I know that my stuff was getting tired. I've had the same music forever. So I'm gonna get some new tracks. But anyway, yeah, so here's Hulk. If I go to solo, you can see that if I grab a piece here, I cut and keyed him over the last few streams. If you missed that, you can go to my YouTube, which is on the top there. It's a little hard to see. It's just basically Mike T Artwork at Mike T Artwork. But yeah, so I cut and keyed him, have all the parts here. If I turn them all on and I explode this thing, you can see they're all in pieces. Where is the thing that expose? Turn this down. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I've never been able to get the expose to move these exactly so they line up nicely. Yeah, they always shoot off the screen. Whatevs. So anyway, that's what I have so far. You guys have seen that. So I know why you all came. You want to see the actual print. So I've been busy. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you've seen that that I've been doing quite a bit of printing. My printer's been running full time for the past 2 weeks, and I got everything printed out. So let's stop with the messing around. Let's just show you what I got here. All right, if I switch to this camera over here, ta-da! There he is. He's a big boy. He's a big boy now. Yeah, so as you've seen before, I have the hands that are done. I still have this thing in pieces because I want to mold and cast this, and so obviously I don't want to have it all glued together. Now I glued the arms to the body and seamed them as best I could for now. I still have some filling to do. You can see I just printed the head, which I went in and sculpted. Oh, there he is. So that is, it's cleaned up. I went and did a lot more detailing to the hair. If I bring it over here, this is a lower res camera, but you can see, try to get some better lighting. Yeah, you can see that that's done. So I have that head. If I do the turntable here, and I have my handy dandy Daniel Bell cap. Let me move the mic so you guys can still hear me. So cap is behind it for scale. Again, this is a grail piece for me, one of my favorites. Daniel Bell, if you guys know anything about me, is one of my favorite sculptors. And so the cap is his from Sideshow, and this is the scale of mine right now. So let's see if I can get it to stay in focus. Yeah, so he is pretty much done. I mean, I got some minor cleanup to do. The hands do fit on, they just don't stay on, right? So once I find somebody that can do the molding for me, I will get that done. And then I'm gonna make some resin copies and print them, or not print them, I'm gonna paint them. And today I'll be showing you a little extra treat. I'm working on an alternate head portrait for the Red Hulk, Thunderbolt Ross. So I'll show you that. Let's see what's up in the chat. Big thanks, man. Great music, great Hulk. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mari Cat. Hulk came out phenomenal. Awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, so anyway, that is the print. And what else? Yeah, so like I said, right, this portrait is done for Green Hulk. And today I'm gonna be working on my Red Hulk. So ideally, what I'll do is I will print this second head. I'll find somebody that can make a mold of the pieces, and you'll see if I take this out, a big old peg, and that fits into the legs. And these were, you guys were here when I cut this up, right? So the calves are their own thing. I put those into the two halves of the upper torso, the thighs rather, and those seam together. You see the seam down the middle, right? But because that's on the jeans, it's a super convenient place to hide the seams. So you got to get tactical with this thing, and that's what I did, is try to hide the seams wherever I could. So those are hidden. The arms, if you guys are looking at, so here's my screen. I'll show you on my ZBrush screen again, but these arms are booleaned out along the pec line and the traps, so it kind of makes sense. And you can see they hide really, really well. Like it's pretty difficult to see where those suckers went in there, and everything fit together like a glove. Like this thing was, it was really like a joy to print. I don't have a whole lot of printing experience, but it just kept so much detail. Like you guys can see, like there is, I don't know if YouTube is going to catch it or not, or Facebook, whatever, but skin details in there, veins are in there. When I start airbrushing this thing, everything I need to keep a really dope piece is still here. And then that actually fits, if I do it just right, it fits right down into those pants. So if you saw 2 streams ago, I made the boolean to fit the waist just snugly inside of the jean line where the shirt is. So you can see there's a little bit of filling that I need to do on the, like on that pant line, like right here, but it's minimal. Like this is really, really, you know, all right. Done tooting my own horn. It came out pretty nice, I'm happy with it. All right, so put the head back on, boom, and there's the man. All right, so let's hide this screen now. Hide this screen. Now that's gone. Okay, so here is what I was talking about. If you missed the streams before, if I select his chest here and I solo it, this is that piece. This is what it looked like before, right? And the arms fit right in there. Everything seamed together really, really well, right? And this little lip right here fits into the jeans and you can't see it. So anyway, here's what it is. Let's see what's in the chat. What's up, Randy? Thank you, Mark. How long do you work on this model? You don't even want to know. I started this thing a while ago, and I had another version of it that's on my ArtStation where he's charging at the camera and he's got his hands up and he's like screaming. That was one that was okay, but I had my friend Brad put him in kind of like a museum pose where he's just kind of chilling with a whole bunch of attitude, and that was the one I really liked. Plus the fact that it can stand up on its own without the base. I'll figure out a base at some point, but right now, the fact that it can stand up without a base is pretty sweet to me. And again, that's my buddy Brad that helped out with that pose. So that's it. So you see how I skirted around? I don't even have the microphone in front of me. Sorry. Microphone's right here. Oh, I got a new microphone. Oh my gosh, it looks good, you guys. It's so pretty. Anyway. Yeah, so you see how I kind of dodged the whole how long did it take me? Didn't even answer it. You guys didn't even notice. We're on to the next question. What else? Fake news. Thanks. What's the total print time? Can you remember? All right, yeah, so I did have a failure. That is correct. But that was not the printer's fault. That was the PLA had kind of gotten a kink in it and it snagged. And so that caused this error right here. So you can see that it got kinda almost done. And this is what this looked like originally. Let me put on the big camera again real quick. Yeah, so before I cleaned up, see this is where that arm meets, oops, over here. This is where that arm meets the body. And you see it's like super clean. Super clean. It kept all of the skin pores. This is before any priming and sanding. It's really difficult to see the build lines, which blew my mind. It really, I can't even tell you. This is, so I know I'm gonna get a lot of questions on this. The slicing software I'm using is Simplify 3D, and that is, you know, that's obviously a paid slicer, but so worth it, like so worth it. The supports break right off. It's a joy to clean up, like so easy to clean, and like I said, the only problem I had was because of the roll of filament itself, not because of the print or the printer. All right, so that's that. If we're asking how long it took, probably I can tell you because I remember the hands. These hands were 12 hours each, right? 12 hours each. But you can see a lot of detail in there. I don't know if it'll focus. Maybe this one will focus a little better. A lot of detail, kept all of the skin pores, kept the, you know what it didn't keep? I mean, it almost has the fingerprints. I think if I had dug them in a little bit deeper, it would have kept the fingerprints. But you can see those nails look like, they look pretty daggone good. So yeah, hands were 12 hours. Calves, if I look at the calves and solo them, actually let's do transparent. All right, so calves were about, I want to say they were maybe 20, 21 hours, something like that each. So left calf, right calf. The waist, the first time I printed it, actually, I printed it oriented this way, and I did have problems at the top, and that's only because I dropped my infill down. I know there's a lot of people that aren't printers and they don't care about any of this, but there's, you know, clearly going to be people who ask these questions. I made that infill 0, and because of that, I had problems when it got to the top and had to build out the this top part here. There was nothing for it really to start with, so I had holes in it, and I cleaned those up as well as I could, right? But the next one I printed this way, right? So I put that on the build platform this way, and it was much cleaner. Everything was way cleaner, and I think that even shaved some time off of my you know, the print time. All right, so that's that, right? Oh, the head was, I'm saving the best for last. So head took about, it said 12, but it took like 14 hours to print. And the only piece on here that was a monster that I was sure that it was gonna like crap out on me is the torso. So anybody who does PLA printing would say you're insane to try to do this, but I printed this piece all as one thing, and it is a monster, as you can see. Oh wow, you know what? I'm not even showing you my screen, so haha, I don't know why I was doing that. All right, this piece right here is huge. And it took probably, I think it took 72 hours. So that's 72 hours where it could fail at any time if any problems happened, like my cat came in here or whatever. But it didn't. It came out beautiful. So anyway, that's it. This is not resin. This is filament. This is PLA. So it is the spool of. I was using Hatchbox PLA and printing at just the regular settings. So that's what that is. You can't even see my screen, Mike. Yeah, I just realized that. Nice mic. Brand is Samson, not Samsung, Samson, S-A-M-S-O-N. That's the mic. Okay, layer height was 0.1. And the nozzle I was using is a stock nozzle that came with it. The hot end is a stock. I switched out the hot end for one that is a metal one, and but it's the stock nozzle. So that's that. Total print time for everything probably was a good solid 2 weeks. Yeah, no, I didn't think you could do that either, Randy. The only reason I even invested in this printer is because I saw Grossetti's Yoshimitsu, and it was beautiful. I was like, wow, I love statues, and I didn't want to invest in a resin printer because I didn't feel like dropping 4 G's on the Form 3. So I spent $300 on this one, and put in about $50 worth of upgrades. So it's pretty nice. Anyway, let's see. Whoa, what's up? Somebody from Kyiv, Ukraine. What's up? Awesome as always. Thank you. distracted with the mic. Can't see the screen. These are old, not resin. What did you use for support? So I use the standard supports on this thing. So let's open up, before I get into, like I'm gonna get into sculpting in a second, I promise you guys. But if I open up my Simplify, let's see if it'll open here. All right, so here's an example, right? This is Simplify 3D. This is the calf. This is kind of what I was doing. I noticed that when I had this thing, I try to angle it so it's as straight up and down as possible, because that kind of hides those build lines too. If I was to try to print this laying down horizontal, then it gets real weird where they build up to the top. It almost looks like if you cut a tree trunk and you see the rings inside. So I try to minimize those as much as possible. If I get it on the end cap, it doesn't matter, right? Because that's going to be hidden inside of the model. So any chance I can have to hide imperfections is what I did. And you can see there's a lot of detail for this to keep. I carved those. I carved the pores and you know the wrinkles and all that. I carved that in pretty deep, and it kept it. I would love to see this thing on a resin printer. Like, it would blow my mind, but for PLA, it's crazy how much of this it kept. Right. So anyway, if I scale through the let's see, if I go to prepare to print, just real quickly, I'll show you. It will calculate this thing, and when it's done, I can show you what actually happened. I can scroll through the layers. So it's doing the G code now. Boom. All right. So this is kind of what you're looking at, right? And if I was to look at the top, it builds it from the bottom up. So if I go all the way down to the bottom, okay, this is my print bed. And it starts to build it up. Like you can see, it starts off looking like one of those old 70s gas pedals. And then those are the supports. And then it starts building the foot. And for this, like I said, no infill at all. I did 0 infill. And it worked. So by doing that, what it did was it allowed me to save time, not having an infill inside of there, save print time. And then as it goes, you can see it just builds up. It builds up until you get to the top, tippy top, and there it is. So that's a print, and it says that I'll be 21 hours and 11 minutes, right? So the calves took about 21 hours. Anyway, that's it. So my supports were, yeah, so with the software, pretty much everything is the stock settings. Only thing I really changed was I kept the raft on the bottom and I lowered my infill to either 0 or 1. So that's it. I'm saying supports, sorry, not supports, infill is what I meant to say. Large camera is still, okay, it's old. Layer height is 0.1. How much filament did it take? 2 rolls of filament to print this entire thing, and that's with the mistakes. So it's crazy because his torso used damn near 3/4 of a roll. Everything else I printed with another roll. Test track. Yeah. So the tests were the failures. So I had 2 of them. This one and this one. And both failures were because the filament snagged and the nozzle kept moving and the bed was dropping and then it wasn't touching anything, so that was it. What's up, Mike? What's up, Falco? See the 3D prints on Instagram. Thanks, yeah, it's huge. Huge. How do you ensure the inside isn't filled? You can just go to your settings and set the infill to the lower the number, the less infill it's going to have, right? So that's that. All right, let's get back to why you guys came, which is ZBrush stuff. So I'm gonna open up something I started working on. So you guys saw, let's just make a copy of this head. Go to the head. Oh, don't you crash on me. Don't you crash on me. Oh, I think it's gonna crash. Tab. Oh no, it's not crashing. All right, so if I go to the head, here's my head. Booyah, all right. So I'm not sure if I was doing a personal stream or I was in here working on this, but I didn't really love the way his head looked before, so I went in and kind of tweaked it to make him look a little more angry, and so that's what we have here. And then I added the skin pores. What I will tell you, I did not dig these skin pores in as deeply as I did on things like the chest. So if I turn on the chest and this, like, see how it almost looks like asphalt because the pores are so deep. With the head, it's not like that. And because of that, on the head, it's pretty much smooth. You can't see the pores, right? You can see the hair, but it's only, again, because my good pal Brad bugged me into going in and redoing all the hair. So I detailed the crap out of the hair. That's why you can see it. So I would say just dig in those pores about 1.5 times as deep as they look good on the screen, and then you'll be able to get the print, whether it's resin or filament. All right, so let me turn this off, go back to the head. If we were to, let's see, okay. If we were to grab this and hide half of it, you can see that it's nice and hollow on the inside. I got double turned on, that's why you can see it. But like very thin, no holes. I checked the mesh integrity. That was another thing I had to check to make sure everything was good. But yeah, it's watertight. If I wanted to print this on resin, on a resin printer, I totally could. So here's our green Hulk. Now what I'm doing is a red variant, so that when I get this thing cast and I make copies of it, I can do a paint app, which is the red Hulk, and I do one with Thunderbolt, which is the, did I say red? I can do the green version, and then I can do one that is the red version as well. So I think 610, what is today? Today is the 11th, so I think this is the latest one. Let's open, wait a minute, cancel, save. Let's move this over here. Load, red Hulk whip, open. All right, so here's what I have so far for this guy. Let's turn the light up so you can see him. Turn off the lights. Let me open up my reference. Reference for the, again, pure ref is what I use. PURREF is what I use. So let's open up, load recent, Hulk faces. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Red Hulk, he looks like Jack Black. No, he doesn't look like Jack Black. Jack Black in a onesie, you guys. Good night, everybody. Yeah, he looks like this guy right here. All right. So there are a few versions. Lately, I don't know why, like Marvel is doing, not lately, but Marvel does the version where when he changes, his mustache disappears. That's ridiculous to me. I just can't bring myself to do it. Plus, he's got a pretty sweet mustache. So I'm doing the version here, not this one. This kind of looks like Freddie Mercury. I just dated myself. You guys don't know who that is. Looks like this guy right here, right? So got my stogie. I got my mustachioed version of him, and he is bald right now, but I like his attitude. He's got a lot of attitude, you guys. Bit of a badass. So let's bring this over here. And I went in and just grabbed a bunch of reference. I wanted to have smiles that look real kind of creepy. So Willem Dafoe was great. Then I was like, who looks fantastic with a cigar in his mouth? And I was like, Arnold. So let me grab that. This guy, I don't know who he is, but wow. Yikes. And then I found some other pictures right here. So I used all these for reference. And the Jack Black is pretty dope too. And I started doing my version. Now if I cut off the color, let's take this light down a little bit, go to the tool, and I cut off the color. You can see that he looks like this. You know what I'm saying? It looks like this. And I'm happy with it. Now, the thing that I did on this, rather than going back to the lab and completely resculpting his head, was I took my original head. So let's solo this. All right, there's the new head. This light is still too bright. Let's turn that down. Too bright. There you go. All right, so I went to my original head, which was this one, Madman Hulk. So mad. And if you look at it, it's decimated. Super high, like level of detail. Even the decimation is damn near 2 million polys, right? So, or points, whatever. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't use that. So what I did was I made a copy of him and I Z-remeshed him. And that allowed me to go to much lower subdivision levels, and then I can do things like tweak his expression. I can like change his mouth from a frowny face to a happy face. So if I take this is now still under 1 million polys, which is pretty impressive considering I have some skin pores in here. But if I step him down, let's step him down to the lowest subd level. This is the lowest subd level. Crazy, right? Perfect for changing his expression. Like, you can't have anything better than this. And it even, when I did the Z-remesh, I mean, it kept really good edge loops. Like, so if you guys are familiar with topology, you know you want to keep the edge loops so that you can deform the mouth and it actually deforms like our mouth, right? You don't want it so that if you try to make him smile, the edges get all like faceted because the loops are in a bad position. Even the nose, it kept like the nose really nice. So I was surprised because it just did it. I didn't do anything special to this at all. It just did it. Just knew. Wanted to throw me a cosmic break. So if I hit higher subd level, I don't even have to be at 2 million polys because these loops are such that it keeps the cheeks. So if you smile, it keeps the way that it bends the way it's supposed to. And the nose, the crinkle of the nose, if I do that because the loops are right, it looks good. All right, so anyway, that's that. Let's see what other questions. Sup, Mike? Sup.com. Instagram, said that already. What's up? Bill, insane. How do you make the ZBrush sculpt hollow inside? Okay. Yeah, so what I did was, like you see, for this one I have all these separate parts. Eyebrows, eyes, teeth, stogie, right? Sweet ass mustache. They're all their separate pieces. If I turn everything back on, it looks like this. So quickly, let's just say that we like this, right? And this is what I want to use for my print. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't have any gaps or like hollows in there anywhere. And one place where originally I did was in the mouth. The teeth were a full set of upper and lower teeth, right? So teeth, right? Can you see that? That's my teeth. Nope, teeth. Okay, that made no sense at all. Why don't I draw you a picture? Upper and lower teeth, right? So the problem was when they closed, I had a big gap in between the mouth bag. And you don't want that because it causes problems. So what I ended up doing was I took the teeth and I just kept the ones you could even see. Right? You couldn't even see a lot of the teeth, so I deleted the ones you couldn't see. I grouped them together. I think I might have Dynamesh them together. So you see how now this is one unit. There's not really gaps between. On the bottom anyway, the top are separate teeth. Top are still separate. And you can see they're mad busted, right? But no, you don't care because you can't see any of that. So that's that. And then on the head, I went and originally I had a full mouth bag, so that means his entire mouth all the way back to the tonsils was just a hollow, and that causes problems. You don't want that. If you're going to do a resin print, then that's going to mess with your model being watertight. So I filled that in, right? I went and kind of filled it in as far as I could, so the teeth kind of back up into it. The gums are part of this head here, and when you turn the teeth on, you don't have a great big hole in there, right? So that is what I did for that. Same with the eyes. I want to make sure that those eyes don't have any gaps between where these eyeballs fit to the shape of his face. So I went and fixed those, and just was mindful inside the ears. Sometimes you get holes where the mesh just doesn't want to close. Made sure all that was filled and clean. And then what that lets you do, let's take this now and let's do a boolean feature. All right, so if I turn on live boolean, looks like nothing has changed. But now this is 5 million, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Let me do a quick save real quick. Concept. How many polys is subdivision 1 on the head? So let's see. It is 3,215 polys. So from 3,000, the original mesh on this guy was 5 million? 5 million. Right. And I would probably subdivide this one more time when I do the final tool, because you can see. Okay, did that music just get really loud to you guys? I don't like that. Let me skip this track. That's crazy how loud that got. Sorry, you guys. Skip. Yeah, that was bananas. That just sounded like noise. Anyway, yeah, I would divide this one more time. I know, sorry, Mark. Sorry, guys. That's my bad. That's my bad. I will delete that track. But yeah, what I was saying is, yeah. So I'll divide this one more time, and then I can add in some really like high frequency pores on him. Even though they didn't print last time, so maybe I won't. Who cares? Whatever. So we got this guy ready to do a boolean real quick. Let's take him over to, now I do want to keep on my dynamic subdivision, because I believe I have some things, well, maybe I divided them, let's see. So yeah, I made like the end of his stogie here where he's chewing on it. I did divide it. Originally I had a dynamic mesh, and if we take that down to the lowest, this started off as just a regular cylinder, right? Super low. Just crazy. I didn't even group it. And then if I did a dynamic subdivision to about here, and then I said accept or apply, and it looks like this. And you can see it still probably can be divided one time or twice. Right, so let's say we like that. Cigar, same deal. Cigar is, it's pretty high because I was trying to get that, it's still got a lot of work to do, right? But I was trying to get that ash look on the end. So I just blocked it in. You can see the end of it was like super, super loose. Do I have any subdivision levels on this? I don't think I do, because you know what I did was I took this and I started using Sculptors Pro, so I deleted the subdivision levels. I could reconstruct that if I wanted to, but I don't think I do. So maybe that's that. Mustache is crazy high because I wanted to try to keep the hair so that it looks like hair, but originally this piece was just a cube that I just kept one of the faces, deleted the other ones, and kind of shaped it around his head. Do I have an old one? Yeah, here you go. So this is what it looked like before I divided and detailed to here. Same thing for the eyebrows, right? That's that. So let's turn it all on. Is the music even playing now? Oh yeah, that's crazy. That song was ridiculously loud. This one you can barely even hear. All right, so here he looks like Mr. Clean without the mustache. If we give him some color, it's a little bit better, right? I did go in and did some pretty basic polypainting. So you can see that it just pops off some of those details. I wanted it to look dark around his eyes and everything. I wanted him to have some gray around his 5 o'clock shadow, so that's what's going on down here. And if I turn on just the basic material, or even like a skin shade, skin shade, skin shade, skin shade, there it is. Yeah, so this is what it looks like with skin shade. And you can see the poly paint areas, right? I would probably use just the basic material because it makes it a little easier to see what I'm doing. And if we turn up the light like that, ooh, not that much, maybe like that, you can do some things like get some pretty cool. I did some whips on Instagram and Facebook where I just did some lighting like that and just did a render. Right, so it looks kind of, looks mean. He looks like a mean fellow. Let's turn this down a little bit. Let's turn off the color. Turn off the color. And let's get that light, move it back to about here. There you go. Now he doesn't look so mean. And we can now take this and do, I'm going to show you how it gives you the hollow on the inside of the head. So live boolean, I have that turned on. Oh, mustache. Turn on the mustache. You want to make sure everything that you want to print is turned on. Okay, so everything is on. Not originally, like when I'm done with this, his hair will be the same as the other hair, and then I'll do this final stage. If we go to boolean and do make boolean mesh, let's save first just to be safe. Better safe than sorry. Alright, I missed a few things. Frame version of the skin. You want to see the things, Hannibal? Looks like this. So if we step down, it looks like this. All right. So that's that. And I think the mustache disappeared. Yeah, I gotta turn it back on. I keep forgetting to turn on. There's the mustache. Did he say teeps? I might have. That's how I say teeps. Doesn't everybody say it that way? What is your target decimation count for resin printing of your models? So I don't have a resin printer, so I'm not concerned with that. I did decimate these things in order to send them to the printer for my PLA. And so if you look at that head, the final head is, with decimation, it's just under 1 million polys, like 879. if we look at the arms, are those decimated? I don't even think I decimated those. That's still 1.6, maybe the other one. Nope, 1.8. The pants I did, look at that. Pants are 224. 2000 or one is under 200,000. But the place where it was crazy was the chest, and that even with decimation is a million pixels or points rather. Alright, so that's that. Go back to the head. But yeah, I don't really sweat the polygon count. The only thing that it's going to do is when I go into simplify, if it's 2 million polys or 3 million whatever, it's going to run slowly doing the figuring out how it's going to preview it. If I have that same model and it's 200,000, it's going to move much quicker, so that's why. Awesome packaging illustrations for G.I. Joe. Hey, thank you, man. Yeah, that's so that's what I get paid for. This stuff is fun, and in fact, I'm doing a new piece for Sideshow now that I just got them as a client, so I'm as happy as a little girl. Yeah, so I'm working on a piece now. Just got the job this week, and so that's happening. But normally, I get paid to do illustration. That's mostly what I do. There's a lot of Hasbro. Got more G.I. Joes coming. How much time does it take you to be such awesome student advance? To be this awesome? Oh man, I don't know. It's a lot of practice. You get your 10,000 hours and you don't have any choice but to get better. So just keep on doing it. You're never done learning. You know when you're done learning? When you're dead. Keep the screenshot. Yeah, so I have the screenshot on there just to compare it to the new thing, because this is the same geometry. This is the same head, and I just wanted to show you guys that by dropping down the density of the model, it's much easier to grab the corners of the mouth and pull them up without it looking warbly. You know what I mean? Like if you have too many, this is a problem that I used to, like, it's a mistake I used to make when I was just starting with ZBrush, is I would see people do these awesome, super high detailed sculptures, and the first thing I did was I would, excuse me, I don't have any water, divide the mesh until I have something that's, I don't know, 2-3 million polys, and I'm just figuring out what I'm gonna sculpt. And there's no way you win in that scenario. Like, it just doesn't work. You'll look, and if I drop this down, even if I drop it down this low, this is something that Ryan Kingsland used to do. I'll mute myself next time I cough. I'm sure that's like blowing out your ears, sorry. But I would see guys like Ryan Kingsland, and he would have like this much of these many. First day talking. This many polygons, and you would see that you're already seeing a lot of detail, right? There's so much detail there. So what I do is I work with only as many levels of division as I need. So when I run out of detail and I need to go to the next level, I just divide it, but never never on the beginning. Sorry, I keep forgetting to mute. I could use some water, but I don't have any. Power through. Thanks for taking the time to get back to the community. Well, you know what? I like to get back to the community. You are welcome, Happy Extruder. Illustration 3D. So go to my ArtStation. It's just Mike T Artworks. It's the same as all of the other things I have at the top. So if you go to my ArtStation, you'll see like the stuff I did for Upper Deck trading cards. Oh, let me show you. This is actually kind of cool. Okay, I will not be showing you anything. My office is a mess, you guys, sorry. I was going to show you the cards I did for the Ultimate X-Men and Ultimate Spider-Man, but yeah, what I did was I made a model of those first, and then I lit that, and I used that as reference, and I painted it. It's a funny story, this same Hulk that I'm working on now, I just put some different clothes on him, and I turned him into the Juggernaut for Upper Deck. I'll show you that real quick. So. Let's see. So this is the same Hulk that you're seeing right here. And if I go to my stuff, Juggernaut's not on here. All right, take my word. I did. I'll show you the Spider-Man. Spider-Man started off. No, I will not show you the Spider-Man. Do I have any of the models for these? I thought I did. This one I do. Here's a good example. So, and I'll stop talking soon, but the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have this Last Ronin, I think now, but a long time ago I had an idea for the Last Turtle, and I don't know, it was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and so I killed off all his brothers and I made Michelangelo the last guy. I think now it's Donatello or something, one of those, Raphael, one of those, but I did this sculpture of him, and it started off. Wow, I gotta get some water. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. I'll be right back. Okay, this is better. Cheers. Talking for 3 hours is harder than it seems. But yeah, no, so I did this guy and then kind of did a pose like this. And you can see this is before I knew how to render anything, like it's pretty crappy. But I used that for this. And this is what the final painting looked like. This. There's a lot of me going in and painting, a lot of me painting just all the little scales and all that crap. So that's it. Is it okay to divide a Dynamesh model for detail? Yeah, totally, you could do that. Definitely do that. Go drink. Yes, you did. You were gonna say it, thank you. How are you doing? Professor Bum, my old nemesis. I'll get you, buddy. Psych, Professor Bum's my buddy. All right, so let's do the quick, let's do a quick boolean of this guy. All right, so this would be my Thunderbolt. I have live boolean turned on. I'm gonna go make boolean mesh, and hopefully the whole matrix doesn't crash. Okay, I've been getting this error quite a bit lately. It says, and if you see this, don't freak out. It says can't be performed because some input subtools are invalid. They should all be a valid solid without any non-manifold edges or degenerated faces. So, I watched Paul Gabriel's video on clicking the show issues, and I wasn't able to make heads or tails of it. But what I do is this. I'm pretty sure it's coming from his face. So we can look, it did make a union mesh, or it attempted to, but you see how everything is still separate here? right? Still has all the parts. This would be the union mesh. What you can do now, I'll do the boolean from this guy. So if we look at the solo, okay, he still has, does he still have his subdivisions? He does not. So it got rid of the subdivisions. Okay, this is what it looks like now. And what I can do is, to fix this, you just go ahead and do a Dynamesh. So first, before I do anything, I'm going to store a project history. So I'm just clicking on Control or Command on a Mac, and then this slider up here with the undo history, click on that. You see how it changed colors? I don't know if you guys can see this up here, but yeah, it's lighter now. It just stored the history. So all this detail is here and I can project back from it. That's the whole idea. So now if I were to re-topologize this and then jump up in sub-D levels, I can project it back, or I can just hit Dynamesh. I'm gonna turn off blur. I'm gonna turn my resolution up because I've got quite a few pores and stuff in here. Let's try, I don't know, let's try 1,000. May not need that much, may need more, I don't know. Let's try it out. Hit Dynamesh. That should take a little while to process in the meantime. Oh, it's done. Okay, put that on. Okay, now you see the size jump considerably. It is now 4.4 million polys. Before it was 800,000 polys. So almost 4.5 million polys, which still, I don't care. Right? I'm gonna make a boolean mesh anyway and re-topologize it, so it doesn't matter to me. So I have that. I want to try to project any details that might have gotten lost, and this should more than support them, because remember, before it was 800,000, now it's 4 million. So I would go down to project and click on project history, and what I like to do is I like to take a little screenshot. Shift S. And now when I project history, I can look at the old one compared to the new one, see if I kept any, if I put any details back. This is going to take a little bit longer because now it's 4 million. All right, so I can read stuff over here. How do you do the screenshot? Screenshot is Shift S. Shift S. All right, sorry I missed that. Transpose, pose, or ZBrush. Yeah, I use Transpose Master always. I have friends that love to rig and pose, and they call me crazy, but I really enjoy using Transpose Master. That's another reason why I like to keep a nice little mesh. All right, no problem. Just did fix mesh. Yeah, you know, I tried doing fixed mesh before, but it wasn't working for me. I did do that before. No worries. It looks like Kingpin, doesn't it? No, it's gonna be the Red Hulk. All right. So that looks like, so now this is the new one compared to the old one. It doesn't look like I lost any detail at all, so it's fine. All right. So now I'm going to turn that off. I will go and check the, because that's actually a great idea that Mark was talking about. Go and check the, under geometry, the integrity of the mesh. That's under mesh integrity, and click on, let's check it first and see if there's any problems. Yeah, it shouldn't be because I just dynameshed it. Now let's check the other, let's check the other subtools. Let's go to geometry, check, okay, that's fine. Eyeballs, geometry, check, that's fine. These the little, can never pronounce it, sclera, the little corners of your eyes that in the morning are nasty. Not from me, mine are always great. And other people. check. Okay, that's fine. Teeth. I did say teeth. Look at that. That's crazy. Teeth. I can say it. My mouth is dry. Rain in Spain. Falls mainly on the plane. All right. Let's check the integrity on these. Check. Good. Check, check, check. And oops. I don't know why I did that. Don't do that. It's masked. Right. Oh, no, I moved the color. I moved the color. Let's everybody just calm down. Teeth, cigar, geometry, check it, it's fine. The cap, geometry, check it, it's fine. I'm sure it's the face, mustache, geometry. All good. All right, so unhide everything. Now, theoretically, when we do our make boolean, it should work. Let's go to subtool. Boolean, make boolean mesh. This should be good to go. Should be. It wasn't even close. I'm sure if you saw that posterior shot, you would have known exactly who it was supposed to be. Are you thinking about rigging and posing low poly game mesh because I wanted to pose a high poly ZBrush sculpt? How would a low poly game mesh be posed, being posed effective? That's that thing again. Which one? Well, okay, sorry. I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna delete this. What song is this? This is stop, just stop it. Okay, I gotta delete this song. That is horrible. Again, I apologize. Let's get to the end of this. Play. All right, next song. Okay, that was not good. All right, so you want to know about rigging and posing. Using a low poly mesh and then having projecting the details of a high poly onto it? Is that the deal? I'm not really an animator, but I have friends that do that. I would just say go on YouTube and just search for it. I'm sure there's a million videos telling you how to do it. I'm not a rigger. I don't know how to do all that stuff. J Murphy, ha ha ha! Everybody's laughing because I'm so funny. I'm a hit with the kids. All right, let's do this. It looks like it did it. Oh snap, y'all! All right, it looks like it did it. I wasn't paying attention. There might be an error, but now I would go through and check the integrity on this. It says it's fine. Just to be sure, I'm gonna fix it. If there's nothing to fix, it doesn't matter. So that's gonna take some time. It says it's done. That means that this is fine. Now what I always do, you see all these separate colors and stuff, all these different poly groups? What I do, this is my pro tip for you guys. I even have this pinned to my UI. It's that auto group. All right, so I'll hit auto group. Then I will hold down a control shift or a command shift on a Mac and click. Okay, now what that did was that should have hidden any rogue polygons that are inside of that mesh. So let's see if it did it. If I do an alternate mesh here, yeah, all right. Now what that is the inside of the cigar. That might have caused problems later on, but we know we don't need it because you can't see it. So I'm gonna switch back, switch back to the outside. It's green, so we know it's a different poly group, and I will hit delete hidden. Okay, Now I'm just going to check to make sure that there are no holes in the mesh. So I will say close holes. Just thinking about it. And I'm thinking about this delicious H2O. Who's not mixing their beats? In my defense, I literally did that right before I came on. I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff. Facial expression's pretty epic. Thanks, man. Thank you, brother. Is there a way of getting lower subdivision levels back if you accidentally lose them? Yeah, totally. What you could do is you could rebuild the subdivision levels. Alright, so that went in and that just closed any holes I might have. So the only place I would be concerned is the inside of this cigar or whatever. Now what I can do is let's check to see what it looks like. Right, so let's hide some of it. And you see I only have I'm not showing double, I'm only showing the outside face, that's why the inside is invisible. So if I hit double, you can see the inside. Now we can go in and just make sure that everything is everything. And I don't see any extra pieces here. Everything is closed. It's all good. If we were going to print this on a resin printer, this half of the face is good. Let's look at the other half. This half is sweet as well. No holes. No unneeded geo. I mean, there kind of is. Like the inside. What is this? Okay, so it looks like right here we have it went up and under the lip and it kept some of this. It doesn't really matter. We don't need that. So really what I could do if I wanted to is I could, let's do this. Let's do this. Just to be anal about it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to my select lasso. Okay, I'm gonna grab this part here that I don't think needs to be kept. Okay, and see it's only this part here, so this is the part that I'm worried about. Okay, if I switch back, it shouldn't affect anything. You shouldn't be able to see that it's on the inside. There's no need for it to print whatsoever, and I don't have any holes in them, so that looks good, right? That's fine. So we can switch back, and I will group that as a different color. I just hit Command W, and I made that a different poly group than this one. Okay, so now I would hit Delete Hidden. All right. So now let's see what happens here. I'm going to put close holes just for peace of mind. I'm just going to think about that. Okay, so that's done. So now let's grab this. Let's turn off the color and come back and look. All right. So that's looking good, right? That's not a problem at all. Yeah, it's looking good to me, right? So now that piece is gone. At the very least, we've saved resin or we've saved filament, because it would have printed that on the inside, and you don't need it. Okay. So then if we switch to everything else here, I'll look, and I don't see any problems. Everything looks good. Boom. So now what I could do is I could go to my, do I still have the key? All right, I saved a copy, load tool, saved a copy where I have the, I think it's called head fix. Is it head fix too? Open. Where I have the key that I cut out of his neck, and it's slightly smaller than the key in his chest. So if I was to go over here and turn on my camera, and you look, this hole is slightly larger than this peg. So it allows me to just pop it right on there with no problem. Now what I could do if I wanted to be like real extra with it is when I do the cast, I could put a little space in there that I could put a magnet, and then I could put a magnet in his neck. And that's kind of how when you buy stuff from Prime One or Sideshow, Kotobuki or whoever, the head kind of pops on and it magnetizes and sticks. So if I was not concerned about the color, if I was not going to paint this guy and I just wanted to leave him primer, then the switch out head that I'm doing with the Red Hulk, you could just pop this one off, take this one off, and put on the other one, and you're all good, right? But you can see, I mean, I can go in and adjust this. Cough right in the microphone, that was real rude, sorry. I can go in and adjust this so that that seam in his neck is far less visible than it is right now. Like right now, it's pretty offensive, but you can see there was a seam on his arms, and that's gone now. All right, so let's hide this camera. Turn that off. All right, we're back over here. So this is this one. Is this the right one? Now, the naming convention is the thing. I don't think this is not the right one. I do have a version of him saved where I have the correct, it has the right pen. And what I would do is I would just turn that on as a negative boolean and back it out of his neck so that that head is the exact same as this one on the bottom, and then you can just pop this one off and put the other one on. That's what I'm gonna do anyway, right? So you wanted to know how to keep it hollow on the inside, that's how you do it. This, if I was happy with all of the detail, I call this one a day and just start working on the hair, which is what I wanna do anyway. What time is it now? 2:14. I'm on until 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on for 3 hours. So I am on for another 2 hours. I'm no math magician, you guys. But I think if I'm doing my math right, let's see, it's 2 o'clock now. I started at 1. That means I've been in here for 1 hour. That means I should have 2 hours left. I think that's right. Okay, so I can do the hair. 2 hours is plenty of time to start on the hair anyway. Yeah, so anyway, that's how you do this. Let's go back to the one that I was working on here. All right, I'm going to, again, just so I see the level of detail, I'm gonna go to my dude. This is the old one, I don't want this one. This is the new one, look at the difference. So this is what the hair used to look like. Where's his face? This is crazy. His face is turning. Oh, I believe it turned on. Okay. So this is what his face used to look like. This is what his hair used to look like. Let's turn off everything but the hair and the head. All right. Okay. So head, eyes, boom. This, the mouth, the hair. Okay. So this is what I had, I think, when I was in the last stream with you guys. Or my last personal stream, one of those. Make it a little smaller. And this is the level of detail I had on that. Let's let it save. All right. And this is, no, not this one. This one? Come on. Why is it backwards? Great. Anyway, this is where I want to be. So I know that when the Red Hulk looks, has this level of finish, then he's done. So let's go to this one. Turn off this. Okay. All right, so let's start figuring out the hair, shall we? Let's get my reference back over here. And there's been some really great statues made of this already. I just bought this Marvel Legends Hulk the other day. It looks dope. So I want my hair to look like that. And I even did a little comp, a real loose comp of it. Yeah. So this is just kind of sketching in what he's going to look like when he's got the hair. I love the fact, and this is what I do with clients a lot, right? So when I'm doing stuff for Hasbro or movie posters or whatever, and I'm using 3D assets, it's nice because I can just hop back and forth between Photoshop and, you know, ZBrush, and I can, if I don't have time to sculpt the hair, I can just paint it in real quick, you know, or if I want to make some changes or even do a whole bunch of different paint apps for his skin, I can do that, and then pop right back. Again, that's why it's called illustration by way of sculpture, because I use this for my business. Anyway. I use mini ZBrush for making models for games. What is mini ZBrush? You talking about ZBrush Core? Is that ZBrush Core? Pixologic, can you share your ArtStation link? Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Damn, that turned out great. Mike T. That was printed on your printer in the corner. That is correct. What is the printer and modes on it? So I'll type this in. And if anybody asks again, and I don't see it, just somebody type it for me. But I have the Creality Ender 5, and that is I have the regular 5. So a lot of the upgrades that I did, I believe that they did those, they made those with the Pro version that's out now. So that's it. Stopping right before Sony conference. Oh, thanks, man. All right, peace, brother. Ruler you saw. The ruler that you saw on there is one I got from Shane Olson. He's also a streamer for ZBrush, and he's amazing, like amazing. He did the Disney Infinity guys. Like, Shane is the truth. So you can find him, go to ZBrush Live, and he actually he teaches classes, and he also, I think he gives that away for free. Thanks, Chris. Show how to hollow the models. Awesome, thank you. Free version of ZBrush. Yeah, so that is ZBrush Core, Mark. 100 messages. You like me. You really, really like me. Thanks, Adenum Slug. Is that the Ender 5 Pro? No, I have the regular basic Ender 5. The Pro wasn't out yet. But the Pro, like I said, it upgrades the hot end, I believe. I was talking to somebody and asking what the difference is. I think that they made the changes that I made on my own, like TL smoothers and things like that. Yeah. No, there's some very dope Red Hulks. All right, cool. What's up? What's up? How are you doing, Errolson? All right, cool. Let's now, so the way I would do this, right, is if it were me, which it is, I always start off with a cube. Everything is always a cube for me. So I'll duplicate this mustache, right? If I solo it, and I go to I have this down at the bottom because I just use it so much. I would change this to a Q cube. And if it's probably in a weird position. Let's frame. Okay, it's down here. The head, you got to remember, it's in the right position relative to the statue. So if I have his body and legs and all that, his head is going to be up there, right? The center of the world is down here. So that's why. If you make a new cube or a new primitive, it ends up there. All right, so I'll grab my little gizmo, I'll click on the cube. I will bring this up to, this is how I made the cigar. I didn't use a cube, I used a cylinder. But I'll just kind of get this positioned the way I want up here. Let's turn on transparency so I can see it. Kind of get this guy where I want him. How's the music, you guys? I haven't even heard it. I don't even know. I don't even know. All right. Now, this would be way easier if I was to center his head and then rotate it and all that good stuff. But because I already cut his neck and it's a perfect fit with the torso, I don't want to move it too much. So again, great excuse for me to lower the retopologize it so that I could tweak the head that I already had rather than start from scratch. I always find, and I did this when I did my last statue for a client, when I try to sculpt the face out of symmetry, super hard, like super hard. The body, I'll sculpt that out of symmetry all day. And in fact, I break symmetry early whenever I'm doing poses, like super early. So early, you guys. All right. So let's give it a little punk rock hairdo, a little block. Done. Okay, that's it, guys. I'll see you later. I'm calling this one done. All right, let's turn on the polyframe. So right off the jump, I don't want, grab my ZModeler tool. I don't want a lot of this, right? I don't need these lines. Just need this right here, okay? For now. Like I said, I always work at the lowest level of detail that I can until I need to add more. So let's actually, in fact, you know what? I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna add this loop here. All right, let me just put back everything I just took away. And let's do this. I only really care about hold on one second. Yo, what's up? Let me call you later. Peace. Yep, peace. Sorry. So now I'm going to delete hidden, and I'm going to auto group. All right. And I only really care about that top piece, right? So I'm going to delete hidden. Okay. So now I just have one face, this top face. And if I turn on double right here, you can see it. Okay. So what I would do now is I would kind of shape this thing using my move tool to get it to look more like the shape of his head. It's just way easier for me to do it this way. Okay, so then I have something like that, and I can go back to my ZModeler, and I can hover over an edge, switch that to polygroup all, and if I hit QMesh, give him a really fresh kid and play haircut. Okay, bring back my gizmo, pull it down into his head. Like this. This is how all my stuff starts out. I'm not even kidding. Like everything starts off super duper low like this. This is why my topology for the most part stays really clean. So then that will look like that. Then what I could do is I can go and I can select the top part, right? Let's grab the top part. And I will make that actually a little larger. This, and then maybe bring it down. This, and then bring it forward, maybe like this. This part is like really fun to me, you guys. I really enjoy this part. Okay. Then I can kind of, oops, I shot way over there. And I can kind of make it so that it is more in line with the shape of his head. Seriously, where can I grab that? Oh, it's masked. It's masked, that's why. Genius. Alright. What's that? Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And then when I find that I don't really have any more, and this, like, I'll play around with this until it's symmetrical as possible. But when I find that I don't have enough geo to support the mesh, like see how his skull is popping through there? What I can do is I can go in and I can add another edge loop. And I can start to detail this some more. All right, so I'll just add a few more here and here. All right, and this is still super duper low, which is good for me. So if I wanted to do something like just smooth, smooth the back a little bit, and then maybe smooth the front a little bit. See how it starts to round out naturally? Like this, maybe that there, that. Then I can grab my move tool, and I can start getting kind of surgical with it now. Just really, when you, like, go to my ArtStation and check out my Thanos. That entire Thanos, including the Infinity Gauntlet and his helmet, was all done using ZModeler. Like I said, I come from an illustration background. I don't really know applications like Maya and Max or Blender. Like, that's not really my bag. I don't really care to know that stuff. Like, I mean, I know you can do amazing stuff with it, but for what I want to do, I'm perfectly happy to use ZModeler. Like, when they added this feature to ZBrush, it was perfect for me. Right, so just start to get something a little nicer, right? And this eventually will be hair. But for now, I just want a shape that kind of looks like that image there, right? This, and then maybe we pull out this part over here a little bit. Like that, something like that. Okay. Then what I can do now at this point is I can add a couple of lines to hold the detail. So if I, I've got Dynamesh turned on. I didn't mean to do that. It's going to Dynamesh this. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's turn off Dynamesh and go back to ZModeler, and I'll just add an edge loop here, and then I want that top to not have a really hard fall off. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put it right about here, like this. Now, when I hit dynamic, it's going to smooth it. Right? It's going to look a little more natural. And then I can go and do things like, you know, using my move tool, make it more rounded here. Put it back here. Just play around with it until I'm happy with it. You know what I mean? This is how I do everything. Everything is done this way, right? So right now it's like I'm looking at the picture and I'm looking at him, and it's low. It's like it's not enough hair. So because it's super, super duper low geo, I can go in now and I can grab these loops here, and I can do one of two things. I can either use the gizmo to make them larger, move them. I can use the move tool to move them. Did I say one of two things? One of a few things. Or I can go to deformation and I can inflate like this. Okay. Like that. Now it looks a little better to me. It's a little bit better. So now I unmask the other parts. I go back. Now you gotta remember, the Red Hulk is General Thunderbolt Ross here. So he's a military man, which means that he keeps it high and tight. Got the fade. So I'm gonna want the hair on the side of his head to be kind of like that army cut. Suits tight. Right, like that. And then I can kind of go in and look at it and play with it. Maybe that's not, maybe now it's a little bit too high on the top. So what I can do now is I can go grab just this top level, grab a gizmo, and just push it down a little bit. Let's make sure this is straight. It is. Kind of like that. And even shrink it down a little bit like that. Okay, now let's do dynamic, and it's starting to look like what I want here. So now I can go grab my move tool, pull up the part that's clipping, and we have a good base to start from. So I can take this and I can hit add another layer, another level of subdivision. This is virtual, that's why I have these little pieces here, because this is not actually subdivided yet. Right now I just have this. So I'm looking at it, not bad to start from, I'm not mad at that. I'm going to say apply, okay. And then it looks like this. So now I can use this and call it base, hair base. Go to my subtools. Let's rename this from mustache to hair base. And let's move it up to where the head is. And then let's save, because why not? Save. 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 Yes. All right. I missed a lot of questions. Let's see what I missed here. Hey, Emilio. How did you use a brush for the skin texture? I can show you that. Music is decent. It's not great, it's just decent. Music is chill. Music is cool, not intrusive. It's chill. Guys are doing having a long conversation about the music. Hey, I got one question. There it is. Let's see. Learn. This is how hair should look like a big scar on top of the head. Exactly. I'm learning ZBrush and I would like to work as a game modeler. How do you begin or get discovered, I guess, and recited? Yeah, so if you want to be a game modeler, I would say model a bunch of stuff that looks like what you'd like to do for a career. Same advice I would give an illustrator or, you know, a rigger or whatever. Do some stuff that is like what you want to do. So say you want to do something for the next Doom game, you know, model a bunch of parademons or whatever, and make them look as good as you can, so that when you go to, you know, id, is it id? ZeniMax, whoever it is that does that, one of those, you would go to them and say, here's my portfolio, this is what I'm capable of. They'll look at it and they'll be like, oh man, this looks like the stuff that we're doing, and let's do a test for you, right? I think most of these game companies have you do tests now, and so you want to be able to, if they give you a job to work on, you want to be able to do something that looks like that. Just notice that Hulk was headless. I just put it back on. First time you watched. Nice, thanks Abraham. Glad you like it, man. What's up, man? Peace. Jesh. 65 watching, 28 likes. Get this man some more likes. That's what I'm talking about, JB. Very nice sculpt. Thank you very much. It's only me. Are you obsessed with Hulk? Never saw your sculpt. Another character. I even named you the Hulk guy. I am the Hulk guy. Well, this is the deal, Dark Knight. I can start a bunch of stuff that never gets finished, or I can finish this guy, which was almost done. So, for now, I shall be the Hulk guy. Marvel and John. I do like Marvel stuff. Getting all the details. Yeah, alright, anyway. I'll take that. I'll be the Hulk guy. It's all good. I do other stuff, but you know, whatever. Let's start on the hair now. So I have this thing, I like it. I think the way that I want to do this, right, is I would like to do an insert brush, make an insert brush that's kind of this shape, and then I want to detail it, and then copy and paste it a million times, right? So if I move, where am I going to put this? Let's make this smaller. Man, it's cold. Okay, I have the air conditioner on and it's super cold. Close this. No, I don't want to close it. Cancel. Right. I'm working on something now that's not the whole Dark Knight, but I can't talk about it. I can't say anything. Yeah, most of my stuff is NDA, man, so you're not going to see most of the stuff I've done until months after it's finished. All right, so I have this piece. I'm going to duplicate this now. Let's do that. Duplicate. I always just duplicate this stuff, right? Go to my gizmo. Let's bring it out here. Shrink it down. Make it taller. Rotated this. Like this. Okay. And I'm probably going to end up making one that I like, and then I'm going to deform it so that I can have a few different shapes. But I want it to feel, I want it to have this kind of a feel. So let's take this and jump down to the lowest sub-D level, delete higher. Let's look at what we have. Okay, we got something like this right now. So now I would just, all right. I thought that what I could do is just smooth it and I get a finer line, but what I'll do is I will, let's do this. Let's grab this top part. And then I'm going to inflate it inward. I'll go to deformation, inflate this way. All right, kind of like that. And I'll have some little fine ones on top too. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. It's going to be all right. Let's everybody calm down. All right. You guys are way too wound up. W. All right, so now I can go in. I can add another loop there and maybe one here just so I have it. Now I can go back to my subtools. Okay, let's do this. I will hold down, I held down Command, it would be Control on a Mac, and I just grabbed it with the gizmo and pulled it over, and it duplicates it. So what I do at this point is shrink it down, stretch it out, pull it over. Now I know there's brushes for this, and in fact I have them. I just want to start with my own thing here. And I'll just get a little something like this. As maybe one, and then I'll show you how to use the insert meshes to basically what I'm doing, but do what I'm doing, but more efficiently. Right, so just start to mess around. Hey, look at me, I'm a hair strand. That, this, something like that. Okay, so then that's that, and then if I can switch back, let's make this a separate sub tool. So then that way I can just, or polygroup rather, not sub tool. That way I can just grab it and mess with it when I want. I can grab this, and by clicking on it with the gizmo, I've masked the one that I don't want to mess with. All right, so then I can go in and just kind of play with this until I get, this is going to be a clump of hair. Meet the clump. It doesn't matter that it's super low or that it looks like crap right now. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't have a problem with it. I just want the shape. I had originally his mustache just looked like a tube. So that's the way all of my stuff kind of looks. So I kind of like that, right? Now, neither of these pieces has any subdivisions to it. So if I wanted to now, what I could do is I could go to my light box, go to my brushes. I have a bunch of custom brushes, and in one of them is hair. And then from Gumroad, I can't remember the name of the artist, but I downloaded these DE hair tubes and also T hairs, which is more like an anime type thing. But I'll go with the, let's see these. All right, so these are the type of hair strands, right? I just selected that brush and I went to, I clicked on M, and it gives you this little light box. So if I hover over them, you can see the different looks. And it's basically what I just made, right? But now the good thing about it is I can go in and I can just drag these out like this, right? Like this. So right off the bat, what I'm noticing is, how am I doing on time? 2:44, all right. Now, what do we say? This thing started at 1 for me. I'm on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, it started at 10, but we'll get into that later. So 1 o'clock, and I'm on for 3 hours. And it's now almost 3 o'clock. So that would mean that almost 2 hours have gone by, which means that I have 1 hour left. And this is why you came, because my math skills are so crazy. Dope with my math. All right. So what I'm noticing with this right now is that it's way more dense than I need. I don't need all these little loops, right? So I'm going to undo this, and I will go to my, I'm going to go to my brush. Yeah, I want my stroke. Where's the stroke? I think I want stroke, right? Where is it? Not stroke. Nope, I want brush. My bad. All right, so I'm gonna go to brush. I'm gonna go to I don't want brush. Okay. Why did I forget this? I've done this a million times. Stroke, right? Is it stroke? Yeah, okay, I want my stroke. All right, so I go to my stroke, I go to curve functions, and you'll see that it has 20 as the smoothness. I'm going to, that's just how many division levels there are, how many edge loops. So I'm going to want to turn that down. No, curve step, sorry, I want to turn that up. It's curve step. See? So now if I turn off, yeah, so if I turn off, what is this? I don't want that. All right, so if I turn off the color, and I have it now set to 2.8, I want it about 2.5 or 2.25. And if I drag this out, See how now the steps are much larger? That means that there is less geometry there for me to mess around with. Do I have? Hold on a sec. Turn this up some more. Do it again. Yeah. Okay. This is the way that they made this brush. This is. It's showing. It's confusing. Let me just do a. I'm gonna do a different one. I'm gonna grab the one I know, the DE hair tubes. And I'll grab thin. And then I shall go to my step. Now at 0.6, when I drag it out, you see all those little segments? It's too dense. I don't want it that dense, right? So what I'll do is I'm gonna turn this from 0.6 up to 2.5. And then that's more like what I'm looking for. All right, it's a whole lot of back and forth, but I knew I would eventually get it. So I like that. I'm gonna draw a few of these. Oops. Click when you're done. And then I'm going to group it, polygroup it rather. Grab another one, polygroup. Just grab a few of these, do a few of these. And maybe I want this one to be fatter. So now if I change the size of my brush and I click on it again, it gets larger. But you see what happens when it gets larger? You also get less segments. So what I would do now is I would turn the curve step down and then click on it. And it's still low, but I have workable. I have something that I can work with here. W. And then commit, and let's do one to the more right there. All right, and maybe that one is smaller. Like that. All right, so I'm all right with that. I will say I like it. ZBrush always does a thing where when you polygroup, it makes it just a hair off in the color of your existing polygroup. So all these are some shade of green. So I'm gonna undo that and I will hit W again. Now it's close to the blue that I have there. I'm gonna undo that and I'm gonna hit W again. There you go, now I can see it. All right, and I'll click. So that's cool, all right? So now these are their own, they're all their own polygroup. So what I can do now is I can grab a gizmo. I can click on one of these that I wanna work on, and I can now move it around and kind of make it the size that I want and place it where I want. And then I can do something like go to inflate and make it look more like a hair strand than just a needle. Right, once I like that, I can go and do the same thing with another one, right? So I'll just move the gizmo out of the way, hold down Command and click, or Control on the Mac, and then I'll inflate. Maybe I want this one to look more kind of irregular like that. Good thing about this too is like as I inflate, if I decide that I want this to be not as wavy, I can just hit smooth and see how it kind of cleans it up. Like this one over here, if I hit smooth, it will do that too. But you can see, because I use the original mesh of this big blue one in the background, it's not as easy to manipulate. It's got some weird geo going on at the top. So, it's all right. All right, boom. Let's grab this one and inflate it as well. Oops. Wait a minute. W. Click on only this one. There you go. Then invert the mask. Now I can. Why are they doing that? It's grabbing the wrong one, you guys. W. So my brush is so big. Click on this one. There, that's the one I want. Now I can inflate. Alright. So I'll grab this, move it around a little bit until I'm happy. Stretch it. These are all just going to be kind of like flyaways that are stuck to this clump. It's going to sell the idea that this is a hair clump, which is important when you are duplicating it 1,000 times on top of his head. Right? I want want this thing to look like hair. I don't want it to look like soft serve ice cream. Whatever the devil the kids are playing with these days. Okay, right there. And it is cold up in here. I have the air conditioner on, and it's not hot outside, so I'm wasting energy like crazy. All right, that's that. Let's read the, let's save this first. Save. And let's read some of these comments. Yeah, Mark, I just started doing some stuff for Sideshow. Yes, sir. What's up, Chris? Thanks, Professor. Some badass math. I tell you, you know what? Like, I could do a whole stream on just my math, but you know, I don't want to be too dope. Loving all the 3D print progress. Thank you, JB. Having Ender 5, that's what I'm talking about, son. You're on some solids composed reduced. So, JB, look into getting TL smoothers. There's a really good video for our printer on YouTube, and it's TL smoothers, ERS. You can get them for the CR10 and other Creality stuff too, and you might be able to get it for other brands, I don't know. But you put those inside of the board. You just take off the LCD screen and you can get inside of there, and you attach them to your X and Y the plugs, and what that does is that will reduce the salmon skinning effect. So you definitely don't want that. It's really good, and they're super cheap, man. You can get them for next to nothing on Amazon, which is what I did. So I got TL smoothers, I got stepper, what's it called? They go on your stepper motors, and they help to stabilize it. So that's how, when you look at how clean this is, a lot of that is coming from the fact that, well, like right up in his nose. A lot of that is coming from the fact that I've tweaked the settings on the on my printer. So like the build lines are really negligible. Like you can still see them. I mean, don't get it twisted. They're there. I don't know if it'll focus. They are there, but they're really, really easy now for me to take, where I can see it after I primed it, take a little bit of wood putty and put it in water and get it nice and almost like a milky kind of consistency, and smooth it in there, right? And let it dry. And then I tap it with some steel wool or really fine, maybe 1000 grit sandpaper, and that will fill those gaps in, and then prime it. And you know, from looking at it from a distance that most people will be looking at it, which is like here, it looks like, I mean, it almost looks like resin. So, and it keeps like all the detail in the teeth and stuff like that. So, pro tip. Get TL smoothers. All right. Hello, Theory. What's going on, man? All right. I see I just lost 20 people talking about myself. That's what I get. I went too far. Okay. So this is kind of what I want here. So now if I was to go and hit dynamic, see how it's starting to feel a little more like a hair clump than before. And that's before I even start sculpting. So I definitely do want to sculpt, but for now, it's not a bad start. This one over here is very blocky. What's that all about? W. Is there a crease on that edge? Let's see. Oh wow, look at that. Huh. I don't like that very much. All right, so let's go in and see if I can delete. Yeah, I can delete these. All right, so I go to ZModeler. I love ZModeler, man. Favorite feature on ZBrush, I'm not even kidding. So then I'll just delete these edges, because what they're doing is they're just helping to hold that really crisp edge. And I know it's just a tiny hair strand, but they don't need to be there. So delete those. I got some weird kind of funky geometry on the bottom now, but it doesn't matter. So now if I hit dynamic, you got to bring everything back first. But see how it looks now? It's more rounded. But I'm down with that. I like that a lot. So then I can just position this. One thing I definitely want is I want them to feel like flyaways, but they can't be suspended in midair. That's not gonna be good. So I'm just going to inflate where I can, and then I'm gonna back them right up to this large piece of geo right here. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's grab this. Let's turn off color and then get this over here. Now after I divide it, I can probably maybe move it off a little bit and then inflate the end so it's not so pointy. For now I'm not mad at it. Let's inflate this bottom. Booyah, like that. This is how I did that hair on the one that's a screenshot there. Same thing, made some clumps, did some messing around like this. Now later on, I did have to go in and draw the little tiny fine lines using Damn Standard, but I already had a lot there that was helping me out. So there's that. All right, cool. So that's cool. Now what I would do is turn this fan off because I am freezing. Hold on one second. It is ridiculously cold in here. Hold on one second. I'm gonna hide the camera because I don't want you guys looking at my butt. Hold on a second. No, I gotta get some more water. Be right back. Starting to get parched. All right. Okay. I'm back, everybody. Did you miss me? Okay. So now we have this clump of hair. Oh no, don't do that. It's doing an autosave. All right, cool. So now we have this clump of hair. I'm gonna go back to my tool. I'm going to save the tool, even though it did a quick save. Oh, see? Look what just happened. See what just happened? I went to save it and I got a unrecoverable error, which means that ZBrush is going to quit now. Which means that, thank goodness, it just did a save. I would have been pissed. All right. Chris is working on Chun-Li. Word? Okay. Let's start this again real quick. I know upgrading is probably gonna, like doing the update probably is gonna help me too. Oh, you already have the smoothers. Nice. Nice. All right, so there's my recover tool right there. So what I'm gonna do is select it and double click it. All right. Now if I just draw out the piece, Look at that. I mean, that's just the little garbage starting one, and it already is looking pretty good. But do say so yourself. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm not mad at that. Let's grab that. And I think what I want to do now is I want to, so before I start sculpting, I want to make a couple copies of this, right? Because I want to have this not feel so cookie cutter. So I'm going to take this hair base, which I can call hair strand or clump, hair clump. Okay, and now I'm going to clone it. Clone. Come over here. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this a few times. 4 times to be exact. Hey Theory, doing well, man. How are you? Hey Mike, I'm working on Chun-Li now. When I'm done, is it possible to get a look at it and tell me? Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Jump on any of the, you know what? I really need people on my Instagram. I have been trying to break 10K forever, and I have been hovering right under that for damn near 6 months. So follow me on IG, and the link is right there. And then just DM me in there and show me what you got. Show me what you got. That's from Poland. What's up, man? What's up, Chris? Thank you, sir. Greetings from Toronto. Toronto's in the house. Nice snowboard. Yeah, that, you can see that? Oh, that's mine. I did the artwork for that. That was fun. There's only 6 of them in existence. They let me do whatever I want. It's fun. All right, so let's call these. This is nice. It already did like clump 1, 2, 3. So what I want to do is I want to mask the back one. Let's mask the back one. That. Okay. And now what we can do is I want to grab, move, elastic, brush, B, M for move, T, oops. Oh, it's that song again. Ah, this thing is the bane of my existence, you guys. It sucks. Let's get this song out of here. Oh, it's so bad. No, get out of here. Also, if the person who made that song is in here, I did not mean any of what I just said, and I apologize. Okay, so B for brush, M, oops. B for brush, M for move, and elastic is E. B and E. All right, so now what I can do is I can make my brush size large, and I can start to, oh, let's solo this first of all. I can start to move these around and make them feel unique. Unique. And the fact that these are pretty, like the topology is low on here, is going to help. Now what I can do, because they're kind of like dragging into each other, is I can mask them separately and move them after I kind of get what I want. But I mean, truth be told, some of these like little irregularities are what really sells the fact that it's hair. All right, so let's say maybe I like this and I decide I wouldn't mind having some more of these strands here. So what I can do now is I can go and grab my gizmo, click on the one that I like. Let's say I like this one, right? So now that's the only thing that's not masked. If I grab that gizmo and I hold down Control, I can make a copy of that, and I can rotate it however I can rotate it however I want. And then move it to wherever I want. Maybe this one is like this, and I can enlarge it however I want. I can do whatever the hell I want, you guys. You can't stop me. You think you can stop me? All right, I can do whatever I want here. Shrink it down, move it. All I'm concerned with is making this particular clump feel slightly different than the other ones. All right, so like that, drag it down. I have the move elastic still, okay? And maybe for this one, because it still looks like that other one, I can go and inflate it. I mean, just inflate that. And then for the other one, it's clipping through this other hair strand, which, I mean, that doesn't even, you know what? I don't care about that, because this hair is going to be so small, it's just going to look like hair overlapping each other. So this is one of 4, right? So like that, I will now, maybe for this one, I grab the middle piece, and I do something like grab the pinch brush and just squeeze that in there, like that. Okay, and this has under 1,000 points, this centerpiece. So what I could do, let's do this size, move this over, like just kind of play around with it so it looks just different enough to not feel like it's the same strand everywhere. I have a good friend, Ramel Chopra, and he does work for XM Studios and Prime One, and probably Sideshow. Like, young guy, but so dope, like a really good sculptor. And he's done a few Wolverines, and he had one where he did this Logan hair, and it was beautiful. Just looked amazing. And this is pretty much what he did, was like figure out a few really good clumps and then duplicate them and then play with them to make them feel like they were kind of different. Right? So this is not my technique. I'm sure that a lot of people have done it before me, but Ramel is one of the best cats doing it. So shout out to Ramel if he's watching, or if you know him, tell him I said hi. All right, so that is that one, right? That one looks okay. So this is 1. I'm going to do a screen grab, move it over a little bit, and then this is 2. So this is the way that it looked before, right? So maybe for this one, just to make this feel even more different off the bat, I'm going to do a little rotation. So this one, let's just rotate it some this way, like that. Okay, so already it feels different. Cute. And then for this one, let's just do the same deal. Move some of these around. I want to keep that kind of wave, because when you comb your hair, like, your hair is following a certain direction, you know what I mean? So I want to keep it following the same flow. It's just in a different position, so, you know. The thing I'm looking to do here is make something that looks like hair and not like, you know, I always say ice cream, but that's what invariably it always looks like ice cream to me when I'm doing this, like, you know, when you go get a soft serve cone or whatever. All right, that's that one. Just barely different enough, you know what I mean? Like, just enough that it's gonna feel like a different clump. Because you gotta remember, we're gonna have hundreds of these things. Maybe not hundreds, but we're gonna have a lot of them. It's gonna be a grip of these little strands. So I just made a copy, I'm gonna rotate it. Maybe this one's a little bit more fly out. Right. Or a different angle. Like that looks cool. The only thing about it is not gonna print. That will not print. And if it did, it would break. So I'll just rotate this around. Maybe this piece rotates this way. Yeah, I just want it to be different enough. I keep saying that, right? There's a reason I keep saying it. So that's that. Q. And then this one, let's move this back and inflate it. Deflate the top. I love the inflate brush. Just go back and forth until you find something you like. And then let's tuck this in a little bit. Maybe this. Down a little bit. Again, it's got to follow the contour. That hair on the green version that I did was a pain. And then I actually thought I was done, and like I said, like I just scribbled in some details, and you know, my buddy Brad was looking at it and was like, dude, you got all this detail in his skin pores, and there's detail in the jeans, and then the hair. You just kind of comped in the hair. You can't do that. So he was right. I cussed him out, but he was right. All right, so there's another one. Now let's see, what's the orientation of this one? So this one is like that, right? Let's go to this one. So that one, I know that I do not have enough of the strands over on this side, unless I put them to the left. But let's make some more copies, actually. If this is the front, then I'm gonna need some more hairs over here. Let's rotate this. This. Okay, and maybe let's put this, you don't want it right next to the other one. Let's put it over here. And Q, and just move it. Let's move it out. Okay, now I don't have to have these everywhere, because what I can do is I can kind of draw in the hairs that are in between, actually. And I do want to have hollows in this too, right? Like I don't want everything to be on the same level. I want it to be like hair would be, right? There's there's areas where it hollows, it gets lower and then it comes up higher, the surface. So by mixing it up and taking this piece, and then let's save it real quick. I'm gonna save this as in my cut and key. I'm gonna call this hair clump with an S, hair clumps. Save. All right, so now this thing is not even 1,000 polys, right? So let's go and divide it a few times. Divide. Now we're at 14,000. Still super low, right? Super low. But it's all good, because now what I can do is I can mask. Let's not mask, let's hide the other ones. Okay, and this is what I'm looking at. Just still super low, but it's okay. Let's grab one of my brushes here. Turn on my, I want back face mask on, definitely. And I want my lazy mask turned up to about 30. And then I can come and draw some of this stuff in. Now that's heavier than I want, so right, I'm gonna turn down the intensity down some. Okay. And then if I turn on, if I show, now this is the thing, it's important. I wanna be able to see the flow of the hair. So I can draw it with the other one showing and just get an idea of this edge flow. Like that, right? And this is what I did last time, just so you know. And if you go in and you just do this, what's it look like? Ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream! I don't want it to look like ice cream. So I'm gonna undo that. I want it to look like hair. So it's easy enough to do that by changing the size of your brush, changing the intensity, and then digging in some areas and then pushing in other areas. So if I grab this here, it's super low res, right? So it's gonna be harder, but I can do something like this and then bring back the hair. And this is a good starting point. All right, so then that would be this clump. Clump number 2. All right, so let's go to clump number 3. First, let's get it in the right angle. This should be here, which means that this is here. That's good. So those look different, right? Let's grab another one. For this one, let's go crazy. Let's do this. W. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to make it wider, maybe a little shorter. Like that. And maybe make it a little thinner. Okay. So let's rotate this one maybe a little bit like this. All right. So now that looks like that. So, I mean, it looks okay, but you can clearly tell that I just inflated it, basically, just stretched it. So what I can do now is I can go and mask the back piece, and I can go with I can grab my inflate tool, hold down Alt, and just kind of thin out these pieces to look like the other ones. Because I do want them to be varied, but I also want them to look like they fit with the other clumps of hair. All right, so I get something like that, which is not bad. I can inflate it again. Okay, maybe I can, let's move these around some. Now, look at what's happening here. You see how this is not as clean as the other ones? You see how when I move it, it looks wobbly? That's because I'm gonna undo all this. I'm gonna step it back, all the way back before I start moving. Let's go way back, way back. All right, to here. All right, that's because I have these subdivision levels now. And if I were to, if I were to step down, oh, this is before I had the subdivisions. Okay. So we're good what I just said. I had subdivision levels there, extra ones, and I did not want them. So let's turn on dynamic. That's what it looks like. And let's apply this. So now it's 41,000. Let's step down. D. I want one higher, like that, and I will delete higher. W. Now I'm going to mask this guy and start moving these. So what I want to do is, rather than going and spending all my time just making the base for these clumps, I want to start actually sculpting the hair on it, just so you can see what it looks like. So I'll do one, and I'll probably run out of time when I'm done. So that looks fine. Let's go into this guy. Maybe let's make the size of him different, the shape of him a little different. And again, remember, you can just smooth, and that will change it. I just want to make sure that after you do all this, these hairs for the most part are laying down on top of this clump. They kind of they draft into the item that they're sitting on top of. You don't want hollows between, you don't want spaces or gaps between these little strands of hair. They're just going to break off if they print at all, right? On resin, maybe they print. On PLA, they're probably not even going to print. It'd just be a fail. All right, so that's that. All right, step up. All right, so let's divide. Come on, dude. Divide. All right, so that's this one. So that's the direction. This is the first one. Right, that looks like that. This is the, oops, this is the third one. All right, which looks a little busted. Let's rotate them around. It only looks bad until it doesn't, you guys. Remember that. All right, so that's this one. And now we're starting to get something that looks a little more like what we want here. So let's say we like these. Okay, I could do one of two things. Probably what I could do after I get these exactly how I want is turn them into a multi-part brush where I can just kind of drag out the separate pieces. That's kind of what I have for my stitch brush, my stitches. Another way I could do this, to be honest with you, is I could take a plane and make a VDM of these clumps. Basically drag out that center shape the same way that I did here, and then sculpt in the details. And then that could be a brush that I just pull right out of his scalp, or sculpt, whatever. All right, so I'm going to now grab this one, and I know I like it. So what I can do here is, I know that these ends are too fine. I want to inflate them a little bit. Okay, it doesn't matter if they get kind of wacky. It's all good. Alright, so once I get something I like, then I can do a Dynamesh, but I'm going to make a copy before I do. So duplicate. Just make 2 copies. Alright, yeah, this mouse is acting crazy. Solo that out. Oops, it soloed already. Let's go to a Dynamesh. Let's turn up the resolution to, let's start low. Maybe like, let's try 300. Turn off project. You know what, I'll turn on project and let's do Dynamesh, see what happens. Oh, you know what? I have dynamic on, that's why. Let's apply it first. And delete lower. So that's what that looks like. Now let's take it down to 432 Dynamesh. All right, now because it's low here, you see how it's kind of doing some wacky stuff. Let's turn up the resolution. Definitely don't want 2000, but let's see what it looks like as, let's say 668 or 688. And Dynamesh. All right, it's better. So that'll work, right? So now what I can do is I can go in and I can do a little smoothing. Maybe, let's do this. Right now it's only 69,000 points. Maybe I go in and grab my Sculptors Pro. So I'll grab my standard brush, turn on Sculptors Pro, And now when I smooth, like look at the surface now. This is what the surface looks like. Let's make this all one piece. If I use my Sculptris Pro, it will, see how it changes the actual topology? So I can add information where I want it. I can add resolution where I want it. So let's turn off polygroup. Let's go and smooth these areas. This, by the way, is how I did my Venom ball. I'll show you that real quick. Reload tool. Oh no. Tools. Sphere challenge. So this is what I did for Pixologic when they added Sculptris Pro. I'm on the dev team, not the dev team, the tester team. So this all was just a ball, right? So if we turn off the Polypaint and we turn on Sculptris Pro, you can, or not the Pro, I'm sorry, the poly groups, you can see how as I changed the size of my brush, I got more resolution only where I needed it, right? Like so with the ball, I didn't need resolution where I wasn't sculpting. Oh no, did I just crash? Ooh, that was close. I thought it crashed. Are you guys still here? Tell me something if you are. Let's see. Still here? You guys? Question mark? Anyone? Anyone? Yes, Professor Bum. Coming through in a clutch. All right, cool. So, yeah, so anyway, this is why I love Sculptris Pro, if you guys aren't using it. And so that's what I'm gonna do with these hair clumps. So let's go back, let's turn this off. And you would never be able to tell unless you turn on the wireframe. Let's go back over here. No, over here. Yes. Frame this. Let's look at it. Let me answer some questions. I haven't seen anything. Toronto, I saw that. Snowboard, I saw that. Thank you, Comic Legend. Digging that song. Pinky toe left it. Why you got to shoot me in my pinky toe? Greetings from Italy. What is going on? World? Seattle. You follow back. Trying to break 500. I got you, Hannibal. Wait a minute, Hannibal. I haven't followed you. Come on, man. I don't believe you. Don't be calling me out in front of everybody, man. Hannibal used to be one of my students, you guys, so I know that he cannot possibly be telling the truth when he says I'm not following him. Is there any way that the Polypaint has good resolution despite having people? Oh, you can Polypaint with Sculptris Pro as well. Okay. All right. Everybody's still here. Yeah. You're gonna get a better. You're definitely gonna get a better result if you subdivide them. But I have done stuff for G.I. Joe where I had to just do it in a clutch, and I just use Sculptris. Not. Do you print this kind of models? Yeah, the Hulk is printed. That's actually what I've been working on there. It's right there. So yeah. Oops. His head keeps coming off. Alright, there's his head. Yeah. He's printed. The hands are done. They're just not glued on. There the hands. Okay. Let's turn off this, go back to this. All right, let's do some sculpting. I've been talking, I feel like, for 3 hours, not doing anything. I feel like I haven't got anything done. I feel like I've let you guys down. All right, so right now my brush is set up for default for Sculptress. So the larger I get it, the lower the geometry is going to be. All right, so if I click on it and smooth like this, you see how I'm losing detail, but it's smoothing faster. It feels like one thing. So now if I were to make my brush smaller and smooth, I'd get that resolution back. All right, maybe not that small, maybe this small. Start to get that resolution back. So if we go to the wireframe and look at it, see how that looks? Like if I smooth this, see what it's doing? It's changing the geometry, which is pretty cool. Now let's say I like this, right? Let's say this is something that I dig, and I want it to be, I don't know, I don't want it to be looking like this. What I could do now is I could go and I could Dynamesh this, hit Dynamesh again, and did it work? Nope, Dynamesh. Okay, yeah, so see how it, oh god, don't crap out of me now. Ooh, I feel like it's hanging. Okay. OBS is trying to tell me something. Yeah, so now it's done this. Now this is all right, right? But now if I want to sculpt on this, I want this to be cleaner. So before I do, I'm going to go in and look for any areas where it looks like it could be a problem. Like I'm looking here. If I was to try to re-topologize this area where it curls under and does all this wild stuff is going to be a problem. I can tell that it's tucked under there. There's geo there, but it's kind of folded over. So if I make it larger and smooth it, maybe not that large. But if I go and I smooth this out, it's going to fix those pockets. It's going to fix those pockets for me. And then when it does, and I do a remesh, and I can even Dynamesh it again too. And that's going to start to fix any holes that I have. All right, so I'm going to do this. Just fix some of these areas. This. So I have something like this, which is not terrible, right? But it's not what I want to. I don't want to sculpt on this. Unless I was using the Sculptors Pro. Let me take that back. I can sculpt on this using Sculptors Pro, but I feel more comfortable after I re-topologize it. So what I'll do real quickly is I will. It got a little wacky up here. I'm just going to inflate this area. Smooth it, inflate it, smooth it until it's clean. Like that. Okay, so that's better. Look for any areas that look really terrible, which is alright. And now what I can do is I can, let's see if I can smooth that out. Alright, I'm going to Dynamesh one more time. I'm going to close holes. I don't see any holes, but there might be some, so I'm going to close the holes. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go to hold down Control and click on my little timeline slider here to store a history. What is this? Oh, this is the player. This thing is so huge, it doesn't make any sense. Alright, so now I have the history stored, and I can go to my subtool. Go down to project. Oh wait, first I'll re-topologize it, then I'll do all this. I skipped a step. Go to geometry, Z-remesher. Right now it's at 58,000 polys, which is alright, but let's see what happens if I make it half. And detect edges is on, and I'll hit ZBrush and see what happens. So hopefully it doesn't fold all on top of itself and look wild. Probably questions on these. Mari Cat's still here. Nick, maybe I'm here, maybe I'm not. That's right, man. You keep it real clandestine, brother. You don't want people knowing what you're up to. Almost as muscular as me. That's right, Jimmy. Your UI is great. Where can I get it? I can send it to you. Holler at me on Instagram. Give me a follow and shout at me on Instagram. I'll send you a copy. All right. Yeah, so there's the retopo, right? So if I click on it, oh my gosh, it's so clean, you guys. It's so clean. So clean. All right, so now I can project this back. Now I'll go to my subtool. I'll go down to project history and click on it. Click. And it should push back some of that detail, which it looks like it did. Let's turn off the frame and see what it looks like. This is what it was before. This is what it is after. Did it do it? Wait a minute. Before, after. Okay, so before wasn't that great. But this is good because now what I can do is I can go in and I can sculpt on this, and I got some sweet topo. Let's go to my damn standard. I want to make sure that I've turned off Sculptris Pro because now I do not need it. Turn that off. Turn on lazy radius, turn on lazy mouse. Now I can go and just start to get some of these details. Now again, this is super low, right? But it's okay because I don't want it to be real high right now. I just want to figure out the look. Once I have the look, then I can divide it and start adding more detail. And you can see it starts to feel more like hair and less like soft serve. Go and do this. And the more that I subdivide it and draw lines, the better it looks too. So let's get this like that. Get this like that. So another thing I learned from Shane, in addition to using his really cool ruler, is that if you use if you use the damn standard and dig into the model and just get some different like landmarks going on in your geometry, then you do a Z-remesh, it wants to follow those contours, so you get a really nice topo based off of your strokes. So let's take this. Right, maybe I'll throw one more for the road. Whoops, I don't like that one. Alright, so that's cool. Okay. And still low, but it's starting to look a little more like hair. Right? So now I'm going to once again hold down Command, click on the little history thing, and make a history save point. Now I will go and go to geometry. I'm going to Z-remesh this. No, let's do this first. Let's divide it once. There you go. This is the beauty of keeping things low, because you divide it and it just looks softer. It looks cleaner. So I like that. And now let's look at the topo, which is pretty good, right? Let's do this. Now that I have more geometry here, let's dig in a little deeper. That. So that's not too offensive. Maybe a couple more. There. All I'm doing right now is I'm just giving the ZRemesher something to look for as far as guides, and then it'll have a better idea of what to follow. Because if it's super soft, it doesn't know what to do really. It does its best, but I guess its best wasn't good enough. Okay, and maybe one more right there. All right, so let's take that, and it doesn't even matter right now whether I like this or not, right? It doesn't matter, because all I'm looking to do now is just get the edge flow to follow that as best as I can. So if I look at this now, it looks like this. If I jump down lower, it looks like this. Let's jump up higher, D, and now let's do a ZRemesh. I'm going to turn off half. I'm going to keep it the size it is now and say ZRemesh. Yeah, my UI is custom. This is custom. Instagram link is at the top of my page, but I'll give it to you here too, on that banner up there. It's at Mike T Artworks is IG. And if you want to follow me and look at I think I have now like 30 videos from ZBrush Live, and they're at least 2 hours. The majority of them are 3 hours, so I've got like almost 90 hours of content on my YouTube. So go to YouTube and it's Mike T Artwork on YouTube. And I've done videos on Polypainting, I've done videos on Sculpting. Yeah, check it all out. Definitely share. Thank you, Mark. All right, cool. So there is the new, this is the new remesh. And if we look at it, see how it follows those lines? It's really nice, right? That's just gonna help me when I go and I start adding really super high frequency line detail. And you can see that cutting key. Let's open this one first because I don't even have the head frame. You can see that in the mustache and the eyebrows on this guy, right? And then you also can, let's see. Yeah, you can also see it on this one. So that's all of this hair, not even gonna lie, pain in the butt to do. But once it's done, dude, it prints. It prints so nicely. Like, I'm telling you, this is a filament printer. I had no idea that you could manage that level of detail on a filament printer. So, does it kind of suck to spend hours and hours drawing hair? Yeah, but I mean, you can't argue with the results. So, whatever. Hey, thanks, Mark. Good looking, my friend. All right, so where was I on the hair clump? Let's get back to the hair clump. That's the wrong one. This is the wrong one. No, that's the wrong one. Where's the good one? Is this it? Oh, because I have everything turned on. All right. Okay, so this is the newly remeshed one. So So now I can go in and do some smoothing. And then I can draw back, sculpt back, sorry. I'm the illustrator, you guys. I'm an illustrator who happens to sculpt for money and mostly fun. All right, so there's that one. Now I'll turn on one of my other brushes, turn down my intensity down super low, maybe like 11. Turn on my, always want to have your back face masking on, because you never know when you get to the top one of these things, the hair strand gets thin, and if you sculpt something, maybe the front looks great, but it's pulling that geo through the back and making a mess. So turn on back face masking, which is here. I keep it on my UI, turn on my lazy mouse, and the lazy mouse is set up how I want it already. So now what I can do is, this is not even 100,000. I'll divide it a couple times. Divide, divide, divide. Ooh, not that much, 1 point. That's 1 million polys, I don't want that high. Okay, so like this is fine, right? Maybe even go into the deformation and do polish by features a little bit. Step down, polish by features. Yeah, okay, so it just softens it up, right? Then if I divide, I still kind of see where some of that stuff was. It's okay, and then I can just come in and draw it back. Let's not make this white. Let's get a color in here so I can see it a little better. Turn up the intensity a little bit. Just draw in some of this stuff. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is one strand of about 1 billion strands or clumps that's going to be on his head, so doesn't have to be perfect at all. But I have these landmarks now because I use those physical separate strands. I have a nice little kind of like bump out of where these clumps kind of rolling over top of each other. These hair strands are going over top of each other, and it looks nice. And you don't want them all to be like super uniform, like hair just doesn't really roll that way. You do want it to follow the major kind of S curve here, but you know, just be easy with it. Doesn't have to be, it's not like me with my math, you know what I mean? Like, I take math very seriously when I'm trying to figure out how, all right, where are we at? At 350? So this thing started at 1 o'clock and I'm on for 3 hours. So if we just do some quick math, we know that 2 o'clock, that would be 1 hour. 3 o'clock would be 2 hours, and 4 o'clock is 3. We're at 350 right now, and just gonna do some quick math in my head. I'm thinking 10 minutes, I'll be done. You're welcome. Cheers. All in my head, no calculators at all. All right, so anyway, this is starting to look like hair, right? And the good thing about it is my time is almost up, but I can take this now and I say I like it, which I do. Oops, right? It's starting to look like hair. Dig it in. Yeah. There you go. So that's starting to look like hair. And now what I can do is I can take this piece and I can take it over to my boy Thunderbolt. Let's get our reference back up here again. I use, well, so for my work, I do my painting with Corel Painter, but I do all my post work with Photoshop. So if I need to do color correction, if I need to do, like say I'm working on a G.I. Joe guy, like say Destro, and I realize that, I don't know, I need to mess around with the position of his arm after I've painted it, I'll go into Photoshop and fix things like that, and I'll do color correction in there as well. But I bounce back and forth between both of them actually. Pinky toe. More tutorials. Hey, thank you so much, J-Dam. J-Dam's my man. We want a billion tries. Epic Games. Hell yeah. The record hangs. What are we doing? Stunning math. Thanks, Mark. You know what? I didn't want to show off with you guys. I didn't want to show off with the math, but I'm pretty good with it. All right, so let's copy this. Where is it? Tool. Okay, get deformation out of here. Go to Subtool. Copy this clump. Save this because I like it. Save, yes. Okay, now I go back to my man Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. Okay, so there he is. There's my base. So let's take this base and let's make it a color and fill it. All right, so there's my base that I will be putting all these little clumps on. And now what I can do is I can paste my little clump, right? So that looks like that. Let's turn up the light so we can see what we're doing here. Turn up the, let's turn up the light some. Brightness. Okay, so there's one of my clumps. And I can say, go to my tool. I can duplicate this. Right now we're looking at under 300 points on this. So it's still low, and if I like it, I can decimate it and I can go bananas and it's not going to slow me down. I got a pretty good rig, but you know, you might be working with a computer that doesn't have a whole lot of memory, so there's ways to cheat it. So there's my clump, there's my second one. Now I can grab the oh, I didn't make one. I thought I made one. Duplicate. All right, now I can grab the gizmo, I can move it, rotate it. Already, I mean, dude, come on. This is dope. That's without even... Uh-oh. What are you doing? What you doing? Make another one. Oh, multiple. Okay, so it's got multiple subdivision levels. So what I'll do is I'm gonna duplicate this again. Now when I'm doing this and I'm happy with this, I'm gonna delete the sub D levels. But you can see, like, just get it close, right? And then I can rotate it if I want, so it doesn't look so uniform. Position it how I want. You know, maybe this one is more like this. So here are three. Maybe what I do after I get one that I like. For this one, I'm going to delete the lower, right? So then I can just copy and paste. I'm just copy and paste this. Copy, paste, rotate. Maybe this one is smaller. Shrink it down. Okay. Maybe it is tucked we're behind a little bit. This, back. Okay. So let's say I like that. And then I make another copy. And this one, rotate, rotate, rotate. It's all just eyeballing it, you know what I mean? But you can get some like pretty daggone believable hair. I'm sorry, man, I didn't mean to cuss, you guys. It was terrible. All right, there's that. Okay, so let's say now I'm using I'm using the base here as just me being able to follow this and figure out the contour of his hair. But let's say I like what I have going on right here, right? Now I can grab my, let's say I grab my dam standard and I click on this hair base, and now I can start kind of digging in to reveal some of these clumps. So now what I can do is I can make a second row of these things, move it behind the first one. So let's do this. Let's I'm gonna save this because I actually like what I have going on here. Save. I may not even really need to do a whole bunch of different styles, but okay, so I like that. I'm going to merge this down with the one below it. Merge down. Yes. Okay, I will delete lower and then merge this down, merge down. Okay, so now I have all these clumps on their own thing. They're also only 2 poly groups. So if I go over here, again, this is my UI, but if I hit auto groups, now they're on their own. They're all their own group, which is great because now what I can do is I can duplicate this one. How much time do I have? All right, it's 3:58. Quick math. I'm done at 4. I'm on the East Coast. If I'm on the West Coast, let's see, started at 10, 11, 12, 1. I would be done at 1. So for you guys, I can't do that math, but for me, I have 2 minutes here on the East Coast. So I'm gonna duplicate this one time. All right, so this will be the second layer. Let's cut off the poly groups, right? Now, if I go to my gizmo, oops, click, go to my gizmo, frame, what's going on here? Q, let's click on this, W, where did gizmo go? There it is. All right, so now what I can do is I can move this back and I can, you know, mess with it. And then if I hide this piece of hair, you get the picture. Like I can start to copy these, and then maybe this one is rotated this way. I don't know, not that way because it's not done. But let's say this one is. All right, wait a minute. Let's move this over. So let's, you know, I could grab maybe one clump at a time. Maybe that makes more sense. And then I could rotate a clump at a time, right? Then it feels a little more natural. Move it down a little bit. So this is just the beginning. He looks like a red version of Strong Guy from the X-Men. I always hated that dude. But yeah, you do this, rinse and repeat this, I don't know, like 60 times, and you got a head of hair. All right, so it's 4 o'clock. I'm getting ready to get out of here. Somebody is on after me. I'm not sure who. Usually it's Ashley, but I don't think it is today. Let me read these comments real quick. Brother Mike, what material and light setup do you have? Hannibal, this is basic, and I just turned the light up so you can see it because I poly painted it. But if I turn off the poly paint, it looks cool in black actually. If I turn down the poly paint and I would leave the light like that. So let's see, thought you were going to use clump and make an insert. I totally can. I just wanted to show you guys how to do this real quick. So I'll probably make the brush as well. Thanks, Raphael. Mark, thanks. 9 in the UK. Oh, I can't do that math. Let me think about that. I'll come back. How large does your average file get? File you work in, not the file you deliver. So the Hulk, as I'm working on him, before I did the decimation, I think I was up to, because I was doing skin pores, I was up to about 50 million. But that's only because I had like crazy details. I decimated that all down. I think the final file was maybe, I don't know, like 10 or 12 million, something like that. Maybe not that much. Stop the clock, gizmo violation. All right, Professor Bum is out. See you, man. See you next time. Tune in next time, you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Raphael. Pleasure watching you. Thank you, brother. So you guys, again, be safe. Stay cool. The thing isn't over yet. It ain't over. So just be safe, everybody. All right, everybody. It's my Obama. Peace. See you guys next time. Oh, let me show the thing one more time. All right, now Hulk is saying bye. Bye, everyone.